What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Treadmill Talks. It's been a minute, but I was at the NFL draft, had Mother's Day, had a calf injury I was dealing with, but back this week, Treadmill Talks. Today is, 5/18? We are a few weeks past the NFL draft. We are in the middle of dynasty season, the best part of the year, in my opinion. You are probably doing rookie drafts or getting ready for your rookie drafts or already have had your rookie drafts. I have one that's already done. Rookie mini camps just happened last week or a week or two ago. We're getting ready for voluntary workouts that are happening, will happen. We kind of got this low right now until training camp. So let's talk about the NFL draft because we haven't done that yet. I was there in Detroit in person, interviewing people, interviewing the prospects. Let's talk about how that draft went down. Now, we know Caleb Williams was going to go one. Hey, before we get into it, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching Treadmill Talks. I'll be here for 45 minutes, me walking on treadmill, talking to you about football. If you got questions, drop them on the YouTube at Dynasty Pros YouTube. Love to answer your questions. If you got questions about prospects, your team, football in general, if you got a question, drop it in the comments. Love interacting with you guys, being able to do that. So if you got comments, thanks for tuning in. Drop your comments. Hit that like and subscribe. Try to be here every Sunday around this time, 45 minutes. Walk on the treadmill talking football. So let's talk NFL draft. Caleb Williams went 101 to the Bears. We knew that was going to happen for months. I think it's a fine pick. I think Caleb Williams is a good quarterback. I don't necessarily think he's great. I think he is very much what Trevor Lawrence is and what Derek Carr has been. Great prospects. They're good. They're starters in the NFL. Do I think they're elite? No. But I think they are serviceable, manageable. You can win games and certainly win a Super Bowl if you provide them with the right team. Now, the Bears have obviously done that with Caleb Williams, surround them with weapons. Obviously, they had DJ Moore go commit. Then they went ahead, signed DeAndre Swift out of the backfield, traded for Keenan Allen, and then drafted Rome Odunze. So they're giving him plenty of weapons to be successful his first year. What do I think Caleb Williams' first year looks like? I think an 8-9 season is doable. I haven't dug into their schedule too much, but do I think they beat the Packers who they played twice? No. Do I think they beat the Lions who they played twice? No. So that's 4 losses right there. Can they beat Minnesota? Let's say they split Minnesota. So now you're looking at 5 losses. You're 1-5 just in your division. Let's hope they go 2-4 in their division. Where else do I pick up wins? I'm not sure. I got to look at their schedule. I think they have a fairly easy schedule. So we'll see. I think Caleb Williams will be fine. If you're drafting him, he's probably the 101, 102. If you need a quarterback, you take him. I'm also okay with tearing back if you're in that situation. That's for you to decide. Caleb Williams with 101 to the Bears. Second pick in the draft, Jaden Daniels to the Commanders, which is what I thought would happen all along. I think the scheme they're trying to run there, the fact that they brought in the guys they brought in, I believe, Mariota to back them up, just showing that was kind of the play they wanted. Not a great situation for Jaden Daniels. Talked about this a couple weeks ago or a month ago on Treadmill Talks. They have Terry McLaurin, who is okay, not great. Didn't have much after him. They have brought in Austin Eckler, have Brian Robinson in the backfield. John Dotson has been less than great. So I think it's going to be okay. Jaden Daniels is an interesting pick. I'm taking him on a rookie draft. I'm hoping that he can be Lamar light. Kind of that Kyler, that little bit of rushing upside, maybe rush for 7-8 touchdowns, maybe 400 yards, and maybe put up 20 touchdowns and maybe have 11 interceptions. Something like that. He'll be a decent fantasy quarterback. Obviously, you're building for the future. Third pick was in the draft was where everyone started to think it was going to get wonky. Now, I went on RotoWire, Jim Coventry, Monday before the draft, and I said I don't care about the top of the draft. For me, it was the back half of the draft was really where I wanted to see, so I didn't expect a ton of trades in the first half. I thought New England would stay put and take Drake May. Going into the draft, I didn't know too much about Drake May. I watched his games, a couple of his games, looked at his stats, looked at his metrics. Being in Detroit, seeing him interact with the kids, the media, the other players. I was at an event where him and Sam Porter were doing stuff with Lowe's, rebuilding this veterans and volunteer community thing. Watching Drake May's leadership in those little things really showed me a lot, and it really actually made me buy into Drake May a ton. In that instance, he was there, and they were just building little planter gardens, and he was like, let's go, let's hammer this nail. He was really fully engaged in that. Whereas a lot of guys could go to those events, yes, they got to go, and they do it, and they don't. It seemed very genuine for me with Drake May. It really seemed like he wanted to, whatever he does, he's going to rally people behind him. Very much similar to what I got from Will Levis last year of when Drake May talks, and when Will Levis talks, you listen, and he commands the room. He has a commanding presence. I really felt last year that like Bryce Young didn't really have that. I wonder about Caleb having that a little bit more. Jaden Daniels a little bit too. Like there's more soft-spoken guys. To me, Drake May was the leader that I was looking for in that personality aspect. Now I didn't get to spend a ton of time with Drake May. I talked to him a little bit, gave him a few questions, but just watching him interact with other people showed me that he's a leader no matter where he's at. I think New England, the Patriots, is not a bad situation. People are dogging the receiver groups. I don't mind Kendrick Bourne. I think he's a sneaky, and I've said this a couple times, he's a sneaky late sleeper for me in fantasy. Put some good numbers, will be a security blanket for him. Still have Ramondre. They got Antonio Gibson. I think they'll be fine. That was 1, 2, 3 in the draft. 4, we had the Cardinals. That was everybody thought someone would trade out. Cardinals would trade out. They did not. They stood and took Marvin Harrison. Now, if you're up on the news on Marvin Harrison right now, it's interesting. Fanatics is suing him, saying they had a deal, and he's saying they don't. He signed his NFLPA agreement, but not till like a week or two ago. Super late on that. Talking with Marv, he's a different breed. He's very much the opposite of Caleb Williams, where Caleb Williams is very much outgoing and energetic and has these like cool hangout vibes. Marv's very quiet, reserved, very much, I don't know how to put it. He's just kind of there. He doesn't have this beaming personality. He doesn't have this commanding presence to him. He's just kind of there. He's just kind of soft-spoken. Not that that's good or bad. It is what it is. I'm just telling you what it is. He went to the Cardinals. Now, he only took 2 pre-draft visits, Cardinals and Bears. I think he was really hoping the Bears would move up and get him. They didn't. He goes to the Cardinals. I don't think he's unhappy about the Cardinals. I think he is fine wherever he goes. But I do think there's this sense with Marv that he wants to change the narrative for receivers as a whole, with his dad, with him, with not signing the NFLPA, the way he didn't do anything in the pre-draft process, combine, pro days. Like, he did nothing. He did less than Caleb Williams. And we didn't talk about it much. I just think that he is trying to like change some of the dynamics for receivers. To what end, I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. I think he'll be fine. He's a good receiver. I personally like Malik Nabers more than Marvin Harrison a little bit, but I think Marv is a good talent. Will be fine in Arizona, has little competition, gets Kyler Murray back. It all hinges on what Kyler Murray is. Is Kyler Murray still a top 5, top 10 quarterback post-injury? I think he is. We'll see if they can build that chemistry. That was 4th in the draft. 5th, we had the Chargers, who didn't take a receiver. Took lineman Joe Alt, which is great. They're going to run the ball. We know that. We've been saying this forever. Chargers are going to run the ball. That was 5. 6 was the Giants. Now, Giants lucked in to taking Malik Nabers. Now, I thought the Giants would take Brock Bowers. I said that on here. I said it in my mock drafts. They wanted a tight end. Maybe that means that Darren Waller is going to play. I thought maybe Darren Waller was going to retire, and they knew that. That's why they would have taken Brock Bowers. They take Malik Nabers. I think Malik Nabers is the better wide receiver in the NFL between him and Harrison. I think they're both super athletic. I think Marvin Harrison is a more talented, athletic receiver. I think Malik Nabers has more of a well-rounded skill set than Marvin Harrison. So he goes to the Giants. They keep Daniel Jones, which if you thought they were drafting a quarterback, you clearly weren't reading the room right. They have a ton of money. They'll draft one next year. They'll be fine. He'll be the number 1 guy there. They still have Slayton. They still have Wando Robinson, Jalen Hyatt. We'll see what the Giants can be in that offense. I don't have high hopes from Malik Nabers. I think his talent can win out. But if you're looking at his talent with Daniel Jones in the ball versus Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray, clearly there's a disparity there in quarterback. So Malik Nabers of the Giants, I think, is fine if you're drafting in your rookie drafts. I think he's a top 6 pick. I mean, obviously, I think Harrison goes 1, Caleb 1, 2 with Marv. And looking at 3, is it a super flex? You probably go quarterbacks, Drake May, and Daniels. And then you see somewhere in there Malik Nabers. So he was 6th to the Giants. 7th was, I don't remember, but in the top 10, we eventually saw Brock Bowers go to the Raiders, which I thought was super interesting. Let's talk about Brock Bowers to the Raiders. I think Brock Bowers is a gifted athlete. And when I say that, there's a difference between being super athletic and gifted and talented and you being good in the NFL. It just, those two things don't always equate. Here's my fear for Brock Bowers. He's on a team that didn't use the tight end a ton last year with Austin Hooper and Michael Mayer. Now, you're going to say, well, Brock Bowers is so great, you're going to revolve around him. I'm not sure they will. We've been saying the same thing about Kyle Pitts for 3 years. Well, Arthur Smith didn't use him. Well, who's to say that Antonio Pierce is? If the coaching examples we had last year of Antonio Pierce is him not overutilizing his tight end. What makes you think also he's going to change his dynamic because they have Brock Bowers? But I think Michael Myers is a very good tight end. Now, tight ends traditionally take some time to develop in the NFL, so I'm a little out on Brock Bowers this year. I've been out on him for a while because I just think he's going to go to a good landing spot. So he's a top 6 pick in your rookie drafts. I'm out. I think I trade away that pick, someone who wants him, because I think you can get a tight end better. Like, is Brock Bowers going to be a top 5 tight end? No. Going to be a top 10 tight end? No. It's going to be a top 24 tight end. It's risky there, right? I think he's in that 20 to 30 range of tight ends for fantasy this year, just because I don't love the situation. He's behind Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. I think he splits time with Michael Myers, very much similar to the situation we saw with Dalton Kincaid last year with Dawson Knox. Of two of them were out there on 3 targets a game. They're basically half a fantasy tight end. If there was one guy and he gets 6 targets, sure, that's great. I'm just not sure Michael Myers and Brock Bowers are going to be able to coexist enough for fantasy to make it well. I think he's good on me on the field. He'll score a couple touchdowns, but I'm out. Let's talk about the other quarterbacks in the first round. J.J. McCarthy goes to Minnesota. It's the best place I think J.J. McCarthy could have went. I think J.J. McCarthy is a good quarterback. I think he's a good passer of the football. I think he's a good leader. He wasn't asked to do a ton in Michigan. We all know this, right? But when you go to what I think was the best situation with Justin Jefferson, eventually T.J. Hockenson, Jordan Addison, who people love, I do not, but he's still a good receiver, Aaron Jones out of the backfield, Ty Chandler, I think you give him really good weapons and a chance to see it on a team that's going to have dynamics to run the ball. I want Aaron Jones over DeAndre Swift if I'm looking at running backs in the situation between Caleb and J.J. McCarthy. I think Minnesota's slightly better. I think Kevin O'Connell's a slightly better quarterback coach than Eberflus in Chicago. So I'm curious to see what happens with J.J. in Minnesota. Does he start right away? There's rumor that it might just be Sam Darnold for the first 4 games, 6 games, a season. Nothing wrong with J.J. sitting. If J.J. McCarthy can sit, the longer he sits, the better he's going to be. I said the same thing about Anthony Richardson and Will Levis last year. The longer they sit, the better for them. Not saying that they can't come out week 1 to start. We saw Anthony Richardson come out and start and be really productive until he got hurt. But we saw Will Levis sit for half a season, come out, be really good his first game, and just be mediocre and not so great his rest of his games that season. So the more they can make JJ sit, the better. Now, the problem with the Vikings is Justin Jefferson wants a contract. Is he willing to buy into that vision of we're going to roll Sam Darnold out for 6 games? Let's say they go to him and say, hey, Justin, our plan is to sit J.J. McCarthy for a year. We're going to roll Sam Darnold out this year. We still think we're going to be competitive. We all know that's a lie. They say, yeah, we're going to be competitive. We're going to want the best thing for the franchise long term, but we want you to be part of our long-term plan. Does Justin Jefferson buy into that system, buy into that vision, and sign a long-term contract with the Vikings, or does he go, no, I'm just going to test the waters in free agency, and then the Vikings trade him, franchise tag him, whatever it might be? I think 2 things play into that. We've seen contracts for wide receivers kind of dip. A couple years ago, they were crazy. We saw what Tyreek Hill got, A.J. Brown. What does that look like now? All right, we're back. Not sure what happened there, guys. Lost you. Some of the internet kind of cut out. Technical difficulties, the way it is. So where were we? Hope you guys all come back. Again, if you got questions, drop them in there. We were talking about Bo Nix, the Denver Broncos. Denver lucked out. I'll say this. Denver lucked out in the sense they didn't have to trade up and still got one of the good quarterbacks. Now, Bo Nix was the last of that tier for me. So what is Bo Nix in Denver? Scott Cortland Sutton, in theory. Marvin Mims, who's good. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe he's good. I don't really have Sean Payton, who is this quarterback guru. I don't think Bo Nix is going to be great. Now, when you come to your rookie draft for fantasy, what are we doing with Bo Nix? I think if you're in that 7, 8, 9 range, I think that if you need a quarterback, Bo Nix is going to be there. Personally, I'd rather trade out, move back, and get someone else and see what happens. I'm just not sold on Bo Nix. The other quarterback that went in the draft, which was the big shocker for draft night, was Michael Penix to the Falcons at 8. Let's talk about what it was like in the media room when Michael Penix was drafted. Now, sitting there with my buddies, JC, Joel, Mike, we got some other guys, Hooves there. We're just all talking, hanging out. And the draft is going pretty chalk, right? It's bing, bang, boom, Caleb, Jaden, Drake, Marv, all, neighbors. We're all going, hey, it's pretty chalk. We thought there'd be some trades. What's happening? Here comes Atlanta. This is where we thought there'd be a trade. Thought Atlanta needed a defensive guy, right? They just signed Kirk Cousins. Thought Dallas Turner or Jared Verse was the guy. Thought maybe they'd trade out. Maybe that's where Denver moves up. Because J.J. McCarthy, Penix, and Bo Nix were still there. Okay, maybe this happens. All of a sudden, they don't trade. The pick is in. We're like, oh, they stood back and took a defensive guy. We're all sitting in the room, and it's packed. The media room, probably 120 guys. 20 people, sorry. Which is way more than was in Kansas. Kansas City, there was maybe 30. No one has come to the press conference yet. All of a sudden, Goodell gets up there and goes, with the 8th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select quarterback Michael Penix, and we all just went, what? Like, the reaction you had at home was the reaction that all of us had in the media room. Now, you're talking to people that literally spend hours and days talking, researching draft, thinking about the draft, theorizing about the draft. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Let's talk about Kirk Cousins didn't know it was coming. The Falcons barely knew it was coming. The Falcons didn't do a top 30 visit with Michael Penix because they didn't want to tip their hand. So we're all shocked. We're just like, what in the world? And we're just going, what does this mean, right? In terms of, it's so many questions. What does that mean for Kirk Cousins and his contract and the offense? What does that mean for the rest of the draft? Because now you have a quarterback off the board to a team that wasn't expected to take a quarterback. What does that mean for Minnesota and Denver? What does it mean for J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix? Completely wild. Completely just flabbergasted. More so than last year. Last year we had the Jahmyr Gibbs pick, right? The Lions take Jahmyr Gibbs. There was an audible, what the F, from one of my favorite people in the fantasy space. That was a shocker. This was even more so. More people, bigger shock. It was very much just like, oh my gosh, what in the world is going on? And instantly we're just like, hey, is Kirk Cousins getting traded? Has that ever happened? Has anybody ever signed somewhere as a free agent and then traded in the same offseason? We couldn't think of anybody. Start looking at the contract details for Kirk Cousins. It was just a shocker. I have said all along that I thought Michael Penix was the best quarterback in this draft. He was my favorite quarterback in this draft in terms of playing ability, leadership style, skill set, more than Caleb Williams. My fear for Michael Penix was landing spot because I didn't think he'd go in the top 5. I didn't think he'd go in the first round, to be honest with you. I thought he was going to be the 5th quarterback off the board in the 2nd round and go to a bad landing spot. Now, just happened to go to a bad landing spot in the 1st round. So I'm not a draft capital believer. I think that's a wash because I think draft capital is skewed and is a little bit of survivor bias when we talk about hit rates and stuff like that. So what is Michael Penix in Atlanta? Anybody's going, oh, maybe Kirk Cousins is not ready. Well, that makes no sense. Because if Kirk Cousins is not ready, you don't start Michael Penix for 6 games, then bench him for Kirk Cousins. I'm still picking him up late, mid-2nd round of my rookie drafts. Generally don't get him because people are higher on. They're kind of waiting for them to take over because he's the heir apparent. So, is what it is. Rome Odunze to the Bears. At number 9, interesting pick. It's a luxury pick in the sense that the Bears didn't need a receiver. I think what we see in the draft is we see teams either go fill a need, like how we need this, we're going to fill it, or they go best player available and luxury picks, and they go, hey, I have the ability to take this to look for the future. Look at the Bills. Dalton Kincaid. Did they need Dalton Kincaid last year? No. They had Dawson Knox, but they took him to look at the future. Dawson Knox getting older, just on 4-year extension, can kind of get out after this year. They go, this is the best player available, so we'll take him, and it's a future move. I think Rome Odunze was that for the Bears. Now, Rome and Caleb have had this connection. They've been traveling together, throwing together weeks before the draft. They flew into Detroit together by happenstance. Don't believe that. I think they were working out together. I think Caleb said, go get Rome. That's what we wanted. I think Rome's going to be fine in the future. I'm not drafting him this year. I just can't take him in rookie drafts. He's right there at the 6, 7, 8 spot. I can't take him at 6, 7, 8, knowing that he's probably not going to produce this year. It was the same dilemma I had last year with Jackson Smith and Jigba. And our good friend Goody at Dynasty Bros wrote an article, which you can't read now. The website's down, but hopefully be up and running. But basically, Goody said the same thing, that you can't draft someone in the top 10 of your rookie drafts and not get top-level production. I totally agree. You can't draft someone in your rookie drafts in the first round that's not going to be a weekly starter for you. At best, Rome is a flex play, and I just don't think that's good enough for a top 8 pick. It's the same issue I have with the Falcons drafting Michael Penix for real football. And people will say, oh, if Michael Penix is good, it doesn't matter. The pick doesn't matter. No. Drafting Michael Penix at 8 and having him sit for 2 years is basically the same as drafting a bust. Pure and simple. You could have drafted Mr. Irrelevant at 8. It's the same thing. Because if he's not going to play for 2 years, he doesn't impact your team. Whether he's good or not, it doesn't matter. He is a bust. It's a waste of a pick. It's a bust of a pick. Because he's not going to play for 2 years. Michael Penix can come out in 2 years, be the greatest quarterback in the world, still a bad pick. Because you just can't take him there. Because you didn't get production for 2 years. Number 8 overall, a first-round pick in the NFL draft, should be playing every down or majority of your downs. He should be an impact player on your team right now. Don't tell me you basically might as well have traded 8 for a 2026 first, because that's basically what you did. Basically what you're saying is Michael Penix is better than every quarterback in the next 2 years, because that's what you're doing. You're saying he's better than anybody coming out next year, so Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, whoever else is out there, and then whoever's betting in the 2025 draft. 2025, 2026, he's better than all those guys, because that's when you get a starter. You would have been better off if you just said, hey, we're going to trade number 8 for 2026 first, and hope, and maybe let's say you can guarantee it's going to be number 8 in 2026. Basically what you did. Where you basically go, hey, we'll trade number 8 for a scrub who's going to get cut before the preseason and a 2026 first. Basically, it's a bust of a pick. It's a waste of a pick for them. Same thing I think happens. Similar things happen for Dynasty. Drafting Rome Odunze in the top 8, top 9, top 10 of your rookie drafts is basically saying, don't care about this year. I'm waiting for next year. Is Rome Odunze better than any receiver that's going to come out next year? I don't think he is. I mean, you had the same thing with Jackson Smith and Jigba last year. You're telling me Jackson Smith and Jigba at 5, 6 last year? 7, 8, wherever he was going? You're telling me you'd rather have him than a first this year? I'd rather have a first this year. You should have traded that pick. So drafting Rome Odunze in fantasy in your dynasty leagues, top 8, unless you have the luxury of you're a winning team. Let's say you won your league and you're the 10 or 12 pick, right? And somehow you magically made a trade and you magically lucked into the 8 pick. And you have a really solid team and you can luxury of drafting Rome Odunze? Sure. But you're not getting any value this year. You're better off pushing that value down the road. So that's the top half of the draft. Again, I was there in Detroit. If you have questions, drop it in the chat on YouTube, Dynasty Bros YouTube. Thanks for tuning in Treadmill Talks. We've been talking now for 25 minutes or so. I'm going to go for another 25. If you got questions, drop them in there. Hit that like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is just me talking on treadmill, talking football with you guys. Because something I wanted to do, try to do every week. I've missed the past few, so sorry about that. But we'll be back now every week talking football. Talk the rest of the first round of the NFL draft. Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas Jr. goes to the Jaguars. I'm not super sold on Brian Thomas as a prospect. Now, as a Bill fan, there was talk of the Bills getting him. I was a little bit sold on him. Started looking at him, was just like, man, I don't really love it. Goes to the Jaguars now, where he is going to be behind Christian Kirk and battling with, and probably Evan Ingram. So he's third at best on his depth chart in terms of targets. He's battling now with Gabe Davis and Travis Etienne in the backfield for targets. Do I think for fantasy, Brian Thomas is going to be an impact player? No, I think he's very much like Rome Odunze, where it's a luxury pick for that team a little bit. He makes them better, a well-rounded team. He'll have a good year. He'll be a flex play. My issue is I think Brian Thomas will have a lot of spike weeks, not a consistency. He's going to be better for real football than he will for fantasy. So I'm a little out on Brian Thomas this year. If you look at someone like Darnell Mooney for the Falcons, he's better for real football than he is for fantasy, right? Like, takes the top off the defense, keeps the defense, honest in the back in the secondary. Probably won't produce a lot. And that's just how football is. There's guys who are better for real football than they are for fantasy. Brian Thomas we go through a lot. Now we had 14 offensive players taken in a row, which set the record. Start seeing some defensive guys come off. We're sitting in the draft room going, man, look at this talent that's dropping. The cornerbacks, right? We're going, man, Quinyon Mitchell, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Nate Wiggins, like Javon Austin. Like, where are these guys going? Like, we thought they'd go mid. First round, they start going to the end. Then at the end of the draft, we get this weird run on receivers. So the Bills trade out, right? Kansas City trades up, gets Xavier Worthy. Now, let's talk about that as a Bills fan. As a Bills fan, I'm happy they made a trade. I wanted them to trade back because they needed picks. We needed a third-round pick, which we didn't have, which we got in that trade. The Bills wanted their guy, which ended up being Keon Coleman, which I'll get to in a little bit. Do I love that they traded with the Chiefs, who were basically our nemesis and our hurdle we have to get over for the Super Bowl? No. But I'm okay with the Chiefs getting Xavier Worthy. Is Xavier Worthy a star receiver? I think Xavier Worthy is good. He's fast. We all know that. Obviously, set the Combine 40 record. He's more than just that, but I don't think he's a superstar. I just don't see Xavier Worthy being... He's not a Chase. He's not a Jefferson. He's not a CeeDee Lamb. It's not an Amon-Ra St. Brown. What is Xavier Worthy in the NFL and for fantasy? Is he a Gabe Davis? Maybe. Has some spike weeks. Is he like a Devin A. Chain, but a wide receiver where he has these big games where he can put up 2 touchdowns and 200 yards on 3 plays? Yeah, but the next week has nothing. I think that's what we're going to see from Xavier Worthy. I think we're going to see a lot of boom bust. I don't know if we're going to see consistency. Now, obviously, he gets Patrick Mahomes, which is a huge help. Obviously, Rashee Rice is probably getting suspended, so that's a huge help in terms of getting Xavier Worthy on the field. He still has Travis Kelce to compete with. They did bring in Marquise Hollywood Brown, who I think will out-target him and out-receive him and out-produce him. He's going to be there. He'll be used. Right? But is he just the next generation of Sky Moore? Kadarius Toney? That's where I think he's going to be for that offense. So I'm not loving it. So Bills trade back. They end up trading back again later. But we saw Carolina move up, which I thought, I said that from Carolina's going to move up. So San Francisco take a receiver. So San Francisco comes out and takes a receiver. I'm surprised that Ayuk and Debo weren't traded, to be honest with you guys. I didn't think Ayuk or Debo committed a first rounder, but I was surprised that we didn't see them traded the set on day 2 for a high second rounder. Personally, I thought that was what's going to happen. I thought we were going to see them get traded by the fact that they drafted a receiver. Now, will he have an impact? I'm not sure he will. When you're still behind Debo, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, do you make an impact in the NFL? Well, again, the situation matters. I'm not sure you can. I'm not sure you have the ability to make an impact there. So that's what worries me for him. Ricky Pearsall, who's we're talking about for the 49ers, getting drafted. I worry about him this year. Long term, I think both. There's a possibility that both Debo and Ayuk are gone after this year. Kittle's getting old. Crafter's getting a little old. So they kind of now we can say Brock Purdy's a system quarterback. Every quarterback's a system quarterback. Brock Purdy's still going to be in the system that's making him good. So I'm okay with Ricky Pearsall. Rookie drafts, you're getting him early, mid, first round. I got to restart my treadmill, guys. I'm okay with that. Like getting him there, if you can get him in that spot, I think you're all right with that. Now, after Ricky Pearsall goes, as we have the Carolina Panthers trade up for Xavier Legette. Is Xavier Legette good, and will he be good in Carolina? I have no problem with Xavier Legette as a receiver. I think he's okay. I don't think he's great. I think he was a second-round talent. And Carolina moved up, and they identified their guy, moved up and got him. Traded with the Bills. Can he be good in Carolina for fantasy? The question will be, where does he fall in that pecking order for targets? Carolina brought in Deontay Johnson. Have Adam Thielen. And they brought in Jatavian Sanders. Be a tight end. So can Legette be 2 or 3 on that depth chart in terms of targets? I think he can be. I just worry about Bryce Young, to be honest with you. I'm not sure Bryce Young is going to be a good NFL quarterback. I'm leaning towards Bryce Young being a bust right now. We'll see what happens this year. Like this year, he has to do something. They've fixed the offensive line. They've given him weapons in Legette and Deontay Johnson. If Bryce Young comes out the gate and is just mediocre or subpar, then I'm Xavier Legette. I don't think he can make up the difference. So that was an interesting first round. Sad the Bills traded out. As a Bills fan, I wanted them to trade back. I still hope they got a guy. Now, I'll tell you this. The Bills wanted Keon Coleman the whole time. Straight up, hands down, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They wanted Keon Coleman. I know this for a fact. The question was where they would have to get Keon Coleman. What it came down to was the Bills realized that no one else was super high on Keon Coleman. I heard the Chiefs were high on him, but they like Xavier Worthy more. I think the Bills traded back, were able to recoup some draft capital, third, second, and still get their guy. Question is will Keon Coleman be good? I like Keon Coleman. You can talk about his 40 time being slow. Here's the problem with 40 times. We sit there and dog it the whole week of the combine, saying, it's the underwear Olympics. This doesn't matter. Put them in pads. When are they ever running 40-yard straight line on a field, blah, 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 blah. We dog it the whole combine week. Then Xavier Worthy runs a 4.21 or 4.22 or whatever it was. That's the record. We go, oh, my gosh, he's the fastest man alive. He's going to be so good. And then Keon Coleman's going to draft him and go, it's 40 times sucked. We just spent a week dogging it a month earlier, dogging 40 times, and they don't matter, and that we don't care. And then we'll go, but it matters now. And that's the problem I have with a lot of these fantasy answers is we dog it one time, and then we use it against the guy another time. It's either or. Either it matters or it doesn't, and we can't go back and forth. Does the 40 time matter to me as an analyst? Slightly. I'm not going to say it's all or nothing. Do I see Xavier Worthy? Now, if we sign Xavier Worthy up next to Keon Coleman, is he going to just burn down the field? Sure. That's not all receiver is. So I'll put a ton of time into it. I look at the combine for other things. Vertical jump, their gauntlet. I look at them running their routes. What does that look like? How often they drop the ball? Now, everybody will say, Keon Coleman ran the fastest, had the highest miles per hour in the gauntlet. Same as Puka Nacua. Do I think that matters? No. Because the problem is the gauntlet is everybody's running at full speed. Let's just be honest with you. They're just not. When you're running the gauntlet, you start one way, you catch a ball, turn, catch a ball, then you take off. You have to catch a ball here and instantly turn to catch a ball here. If you're running full speed, by the time you're catching the ball here, you're catching the ball back here. There's just not enough space. It's just not enough space in the gauntlet, Joel, for it, to be honest with you. So a lot of times what you'll see guys is either they run 3/4 speed, they catch the ball, drop it, or sometimes they just guide it down. They don't actually catch it. They just get their hands around it and just kind of like almost like a spike in volleyball. They just kind of guide the ball down, guide it in. They catch it, and they just let their fingers touch it, and then they let it go. Because you just can't catch. There's just not enough time. So running at full speed, sure, it looks good for the metrics. Oh, you're in 22 miles an hour. Doesn't matter that much. Like, none of the combine drills, singularity of the combine drill matters to me. Overall, watching the whole thing matters. And I was at the combine the past 2 years, watching guys do things that you go, oh, he's smooth, he's fluid, his hips, his vision, his control on the catch. And watching them run routes when they make their cuts on the slants. Watch them track the ball in the go routes. Watch them track the ball in the gauntlet. This is what I look for. Are we able to turn and track the ball? Right? Because that's what's happening. A lot of times you make those breaks and you're running, you make a break and it's a timing route. They have to track the ball real fast. It's not about necessarily tracking, but they have to identify where the ball is real fast and get their hands there. That's what the gauntlet is for. It's not for speed. You always see things where they kind of meander through line. Yeah, that's some of it. A little route running discipline. But for me, it's all about how they recognize the ball. How fast can you turn and see a ball that's 2-3 yards away and catch it? That's what I'm looking for in the gauntlet drill. So Keon Coleman, top of the second round, I think it's going to be fine. I love it for the Bills. Going to wear number 0. I'm going to get his jersey. Can't wait. He plays different than he tests. And that's part of the combine as well, is that we talk about these guys, how they test, and we talk about S2 scores and 40 times and vertical jumps. Some guys just don't test well, but something switches when they get on the field. I talked about Marvin Harrison's personality earlier. When he gets on the field, there's something different about him. Like, something changes where he just gears up for the game and he's just a go. That's what I like seeing that. But I want to see the personality. We've obviously seen Keon Coleman everywhere on Twitter and with social media. Funny, comical guy, sound bites, clips, memes. It's a personality. I love it. I think he's going to be really good. So I'm scooping him up if I can. Early first round of my rookie draft. Now, my one rookie draft, I missed out on him. I took Ladd McConkey instead. Should have just taken Keon Coleman. I was hoping Keon would fall. But it is what it is. So let's talk Ladd McConkey. Drafted by the Chargers, who have no one else, who have Quentin Johnson, who there's 2 schools on Quentin Johnson. Either you're out, or you're like, he sucks. He's no good at football. He can't catch. He's got hands of stone. Or you go, I was always going to, it was just a rookie, rookie year. He'll get better. Now he doesn't have. I'm on the out category personally. I just think he's gifted athletically, but just lacks some of the mentals and some of the fundamentals. Like, he can't catch for some reason. I think that's a mental thing. So do I think Ladd McConkey can be good? Yes. Can he be great? Probably not. But he'll be good. Like, can he be Jacoby Myers? Yes. And Jacoby Myers for fantasy is a fine player. Like, he's a solid wide receiver 3, flex play for you every week. So that's what I think Ladd McConkey is. Let's talk running backs. Jonathan Brooks goes to the Chargers, or to the Panthers in the second round. It was like the Panthers drafted him, and they were just like, oh, is anybody else going to take a running back? Shouldn't we all take running backs now? And everybody's like, nope. Jonathan Brooks was the clear number 1 in this class. I think it was only an argument between him and Trey Benson. I like Braylon Allen. I like Blake Corum, but I think they lack some things. I think we saw that come through. Questions about Jonathan Brooks' health. He walks into Carolina where he's the clear starter. And I think he should be drafted 7, 8 in your rookie drafts. I think he's going 10, 11, end of the first, early second. There's no reason to not draft him. He's going to be a starter. He's going to be the guy on a team that I think the quarterback is not that good. I think the passing offense is subpar. I think the passing offense is a bottom 3rd passing offense who upgraded their offensive line. Jonathan Brooks is going to be good. Now you have Trey Benson, goes to Arizona. I like Trey Benson. I think Arizona's a good landing spot for him eventually. I think this year he's got James Conner. Obviously, they still have Michael Carter. James Conner and Michael Carter, who are both free agents here. So if I can get Trey Benson early to mid-second round, I'm super happy. Here's what's happy. He's going to have a down year. And all of a sudden have no competition in front of him next year. Because James Conner and Michael Carter are going to be gone in free agency. And it's going to be Trey Benson, and they're going to sign they're going to sign an A.J. Dillon, who doesn't matter. I'm all about Trey Benson this year. My rookie drafts, how'd it go? I had one rookie draft. I had the 107. I traded back to the 109. Picked up the 109, Chigaconquo from Tennessee, who it's a super tight end premium type deal. Traded back to 109, ended up packaging 109 a second, I think the 205 in a second next year, and got Jahmyr Gibbs. Super happy about that. Had the 111, took Ladd McConkey. Redo that if I could. I would take Keon Coleman or trade back again. I tried, it just didn't work through. Had the 211. Trying to think who I got there. I think I got Spencer Rattler, who I'm super high on. Also, if you listened to RotoWire, me on Monday, Jim Coventry had me on. He had everybody give us some prop bets. And I said, here's a prop bet for you. Plus 1,300 for Spencer Rattler to go Saints, Giants, and Raiders. And I said, Saints will take a quarterback before Giants and Raiders. So you can bet $10 into those. So you're betting a total of 30. And if you win, you're winning 140 bucks. So had you made that bet, you'd be walking out with $110 profit. I'm not a gambling guy, but every once in a while I can make some magic. I don't see a world where Spencer Rattler doesn't start next year for New Orleans. A team that's going to have Chris Olave, Raheem Shaheed, right? Kendra Miller, Juwan Johnson. A good team. There's a possibility that Spencer Rattler comes in this year. Derek Carr is not great. Let's just be real. Like, Derek Carr is middle of the pack, sub 50% of the league in quarterbacks. The Saints are in a weak division. But who's to say they don't throw Spencer Rattler in there? I really like him. Who else did I get this year? Got Jatavian Sanders, who I like as a deep tight end. Can't remember who else I got. No one else on super note. Happy with the guys. Oh, I got Dylan Lobby. You guys know I interviewed Dylan Lobby. I've been a big Dylan Lobby ever since fan. Goes to the Raiders. I think he's going to have a nice role there on third down as a pass catching back. Zamir White's not a great pass catcher. I think he's going to be great for Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. So, wrapping up Treadmill Talk this week. About 2 more minutes. I want to say thanks for you guys for tuning in. Like I said, try to do this every Sunday. Missed the past few weeks, Mother's Day and the draft, a few other things. I'll be back every Sunday, right around this time, 1:30 Central Time, so 2:30 Eastern. 45 minutes of me just walking on treadmill, talking football. Hit the like and subscribe for me. Drop a comment, whether on Twitter at the DUnit13 or on the Dynasty Pros YouTube. Show your support. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Check us out. The website will be back up and running. I know DynastyProsFootball.com has been down the past day or two. We are working hard to get it back up and running. Sorry for people who are only looking for articles. We're working with our provider to get it back up and running. Working through that, trying to make it more sustainable that it doesn't keep crashing, because it crashed last weekend too, or got taken down last weekend by our provider. So, but we are available. Dynasty Bros, Twitter, my Twitter, the DM thing. You can always shoot me a DM. My DMs are always open. Shoot me a question if you have it. Love talking football. The rest of our staff, we tweeted out this morning. Goody and Cody and Bob and Tommy and Faith and Brandon. All the guys there. I know I'm missing a bunch. But Nick, those guys, Nick and Nick. If you guys have questions, drop us on Twitter. We love engaging with you. We want to help you guys win. I said this on the podcast the other day. My job is not to be smart. Try to be smart. My job is to help you guys have fun. And if having fun is winning, I want to help you guys do it. If having fun is trading, I'm going to help you guys do it. If having fun is connecting with more people through the space, through Scott Fishbowl, Fantasy Football Expo in August. If that's what has fun for you guys, I'm going to help you guys do that. If you guys go, hey, I really would love to connect with so-and-so. If I can help you do that, I'm going to do this. Whatever it looks like for you guys to have fun, whatever your passions, if you're a content creator, whatever your passions are, my job is to help you. Appreciate you guys helping me out with Treadmill Talks. We'll catch you guys next week. See ya.